Welcome to Armchair Hero, and welcome to today's episode where we will be covering a story about a former college football quarterback allegedly coming across the mob and being offered money to throw games. There's one giant problem with his story, and I'll get to that here in a second. But first, I want to say welcome to any of you that have stumbled upon this channel. This is the super secret Tyler Zed channel. I've created this channel within the past week, and I'm going to be posting here quite a bit. But this is strictly sports. Anything to do with sports, we're talking about it here. Mainly because it doesn't really fit in my other channels. If you're familiar with Zeducation or the podcast, this is strictly for sports. I know a lot of people on those places, they're not into sports, so this is where we're talking about it all. If you are new here and you like those channels and you like sports, please make sure you are subscribed for any future vids. We're going to be talking about anything and everything related to sports. Anyways, back to today's story. Some bombshell allegations. Well, are they bombshell allegations? You be the judge. Here is the video clip of the podcast where a quarterback called Mo Hasan, who used to play for Vanderbilt, made these allegations.
I was approached at Jason Aldean's bar in Nashville by the Italian mob.
What?
To fix football games.
I'll be
Like-
honest, this sounds like a story
Like
that
the mafia?
I do not need to be a part of.
I went to get drinks, and so I'm alone right now. I'm not with my friend group. He comes up to me.
Wait, he knew who you were.
Yes.
This is already a bad start.
He offered me $300,000.
He offered you $300,000.
All right.
He said for something like this, my clients, $250 to $300K for a game.
The Italian mob offered you $300K to do
Can we
what?
stop saying that?
He said we regularly talk to guys in your position about fixing games. He said he named guys in the SEC who I don't want to say their names because they're in the NFL right now, and that's a bad look.
deal?
It's a bad deal. But University of Alabama, I will tell you that.
Holy crap.
He said almost every game in the SEC is
This
rigged.
Too much for me.
So some crazy allegations there. And he essentially said in your position, so he was a quarterback, so you can assume that it was a quarterback. And he threw Alabama under the bus. So we're going to go over 5 names that he could be referring to. And before I tell you why there's a big problem with his story, let's look at betting in America. So this is why this story could be believable. Look at the amount of money that is bet on sports games every single year, going back to 2018. And the years that he played in the SEC were 2018 and 2019. And he moved to the Pac-12 in 2020. So he only played 2 years in the SEC. So you can assume that, the guys he's talking about played during then. But again, back to sports betting in America. Going back to 2018, about $6 billion bet total. And these betting companies, they made $440 million gross revenue. Flash forward to 2023, and this business has boomed. We're talking 20x, $121 billion, $11 billion in profit. I mean, you could barely watch a sports match, any game, NFL, NHL, NBA, you name it, college sports. Every single commercial, it seems these days, has to do with sports betting, whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel. You're going to go find a bookie now if you live in a state that allows sports betting like that outside of fantasy sports. It's wild. And I'm not sure that's such a good thing. But the point here is that it is a giant business. And if the mafia were involved, yeah, there's a chunk of the pie that they could try and get. And the SEC, when it comes to college football, is the creme de la creme. That's the place to bet. That's where all the eyeballs are, the SEC. Before we get to the big problem with this guy's story, let's go over the quarterbacks that he could be talking about. So, current NFL quarterbacks that played in 2018 and 2019, that played in the SEC. So, we got Joe Burrow, who played 2018 and 2019. Hard to say that Joe Burrow rigged games when he won a national championship. So, I'm going to go ahead and say it wasn't Joe Burrow. And you got Drew Lock. Had a pretty good career at Mizzou. Not a bad career. Was he rigging games? I'm pretty sure one year they were actually like 8-0. So hard to say. Kellen Mond. Decent time at A&M, but not good enough to control games like that. This is my opinion. Got drafted by the Vikings. Coach Zimmer embarrassed him. Maybe it was Kellen Mond. Then you got Tua. Tua played both years, 2018 and 2019, and he played at Alabama. Like this guy said, he said Alabama was involved. And the other possible Alabama quarterback would have been Jalen Hurts. However, Jalen Hurts didn't play in 2018, won a national title in 2017, so hard to say he rigged the match, and then transferred to Oklahoma in 2019 for his last year. Is this true? First off, let me just say, if this guy was actually confronted by the Italian mob and he's out in a podcast talking about it, talking about them committing crimes, rigging games, either he's the biggest idiot of all time or he's just not telling the truth. Because if I'm the Italian mob and I hear about this, I'm going to have a problem with that. So, is that fearless? But here's the biggest reason why this guy is probably full of it. Probably not telling the truth, why I don't... who knows, maybe there's some sports betting, some point shaving here and there. But here's why. Ex-Vanderbilt QB who threw 17 passes claims Italian mob offered cash to fix SEC games. And here's his stat line. He played 5 games in 2018, and he played 2 games in 2019. 17 total passes. He started 1 single game. 0 chance the Italian mob approached this guy. There's no chance. He didn't, and offered him $250,000 to $300,000 to rig games. I'm not buying it. Not buying it at all. I'm sure they have approached people in the past, but they did not approach this guy because he was never a solid starter, and he was on Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt football? Are you kidding me? And you're going to approach one of the worst SEC teams out there to rig games? No, didn't happen. And the comments were not buying it either. The comments called this guy out. Nobody needs to pay Vanderbilt players to lose. That's just a lock. LMAO, the Mafia isn't messing around with Vandy. A mobster at a Jason Aldean concert? I don't think so. Nobody approached a Vandy dude to fix games. Vandy was already going to lose. More questionable decision. Mafia paying a guy who doesn't play. Random guy talking about said Mafia on podcast. There you go. So I think we're all in agreement. This guy is full of it. Maybe he was trying to get a viral clip for his podcast, but I don't know if that's the clip you want to go viral. A clip of you saying something that is totally not true. They did not approach you. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is this guy full of it? Or is it possible that the Italian mob approached him to rig games? Let me know in the comments. Please make sure you are subscribed for future episodes, future videos. A lot more to come on this channel. Until next time, I'm Tyler Zed, and this is Armchair Hero.